It takes effort, takes courage to fight fear.
Yeah.
It takes courage to have more courage than you have fear. Then you start to get that balance in your favor.
So let's change that from freeze, flee, fight to freeze, flee, face.
Face it.
I
Face
love it.
on.
I love it. But I also want to acknowledge that sometimes flee is the correct thing to do.
It absolutely is if there is danger. If there's danger of, we have that from, prehistoric times when a wild animal was going to devour us. Absolutely. We have that when we are going to cross the street and we look both ways. Hopefully you do, because we have survival instincts. I'm not saying suppress that. I'm not saying invest in every single, crazy person that proposes something to you. I don't say yes to everything because I look into it a bit and I go, okay, I do due diligence.
Welcome to Gratitude Geek. I'm Kandas Rodarte. Today I'm joined by Jeanne Omlor, a business coach who went from deep debt to making millions, all while helping others reach their goals and live their best lives. Welcome, Jeanne.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us the story. Tell us about that pivotal moment when you decided to shift your mindset from lack to abundance.
Okay, well, I don't know if there was a pivotal moment where I decided to do that, to be honest. I love that people have that, but I didn't have that, lightning thunder saying, oh my goodness, I have to shift my thinking. This happened over the years. And, it's bit by bit, I think, shifting thinking, right? Years ago, I remember years and years ago, when I realized that I thought I didn't deserve to be wealthy, I cried. Or that I didn't deserve to have money. That was many years ago. That was the first part. Then it gets to another part. But the point about being deep in debt, that was 5 years ago. And I'm a solo parent. And I did wake up one morning. That's true. And I had what's called a defining moment. I always wanted those. I had a defining moment. And I thought, oh my goodness, I really, really need to get back in. I need to make this work. I need to find something new and I need to get online. Because all of that till then had been offline. And I just thought, if not now, when? So that was the pivotal moment.
So up until 5 years ago, you were not you weren't working online.
I wasn't online. I was a coach, but I was online. I had a website, but I wasn't getting clients through social media. I was getting clients in the old way of networking events and meeting people and all that hard stuff where you have to dress up, put makeup on, nice clothes, drive to a networking event, talk to a bunch of people that are not your market, maybe find one that is, get a card, follow up, maybe get all that hard stuff that kept me poor. Yeah. 8 years. Right.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, I thought I this is not working for the way I was living. The market, I had a great offer, but not the right people. Like, selling the wrong thing, not ice to Eskimos because they needed it. So it's different. Ice to Eskimos, they don't need the ice. The people needed it, but didn't know that. Okay. It's different.
Yeah.
So then and part of me, somewhere in my consciousness, somewhere back there knew that I was meant to be super, super successful. And I knew I was meant to be a millionaire. Isn't that funny? We always say I want to be a millionaire. And I was like, I'm meant to be a 7-figure coach. Why is this not happening, Jeanne? Oh, got to do other things. So that was the pivotal moment. Was 5 years ago. I woke up and thought, if not now, when? Learn this stuff.
So that was before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic, thank God.
So you were ready to go when it started.
I was already positioned. People were already seeing the value. And I was like, oops, for a split second, I thought, what? I finally am, really, becoming really successful. And I thought, wait, they need me more now. They need to be online creating their businesses. So the pandemic did not hurt me.
So let's talk about being a single parent. So how did that help you approach your successful business building?
Well, it's great because you have no choice. Your back's up against a wall every single day and there's no choice. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for, how does it feel? No, there's no room for that. And that's a gift. That is a gift, actually. You just go. There is no, for me, losing time meant no food on the table. I can't do that. So it makes things very essential. And I believe in essentialism. I believe that we process too much and we think about things too much. And I didn't have time for that. And fast-tracked me. So I'm like, whoa, okay, I can't doubt because doubting means no money, no food on table, stop the doubt, just do. So it's a gift. And also it gets rid of all ego. All ego. There's no room for ego when you just have to make things happen. And it's kind of a pure energy because it's like, I got to make this happen. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm doing this. There's no room for nonsense.
About 10 years ago, I was having a conversation with, I'm married, I have a child, right? And I was having a conversation with a couple of other women that were married that have children. We were all commiserating because there's so many success stories about women, single parent women who've had so much, huge success. But there aren't any success stories about moms, the married moms and their success. I mean, we literally, no,
There are.
but we were literally commiserating about it. But that was a mindset.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Because there are many, many colleagues of mine who are married with children that are more successful than I am. And there's power in the fact you have a partner supporting you emotionally, if they are. That's why it's called a power couple, right? So I was told, actually, this is the ironic part, and I want to say this as a mind shift. When I first started coaching, I was just like, I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. Okay. I was already separated. I was in New York City. It was a hustle. And actually, to this day, I try to figure out how I got through that. I can't even remember and people at the time were saying, how do you do that? I'm like, oh, I just do it. But I look back now, my life is like a vacation every day now. Literally, it's like a vacation. Some people say you're working hard now. I'm like, you have no idea. Yeah. I don't work hard. I work just well. I love it. I remember I had a first coach and I'd done like a group thing and we'd get on these things. She was nice. And she actually said, without thinking that I was on that call, because she knew I was a newly solo parent. She goes, well, people that don't have a spouse or a partner, it's really hard for them to become successful. I remember thinking, I can't believe you just said that. Right. Mm-hmm. And I thought, no, it's not. Sure, it is easier to have a power couple thing. She literally said that. Then I think she realized I was on that call and thought, uh-oh, what did I just say? And I thought, how could you say that? And I thought, that is not true. And I'm going to prove to you, because studies have shown that it's true. Studies have shown it is easier to become successful if you're in a good relationship where there's support. There's power together in numbers. There is.
Yeah.
I just thought I'm going to do it. So no, I had a handicap. Let's be real. I had a handicap.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Mm-hmm.
But you did something that a lot of women in your position might not have done, and that was you joined a group.
I joined lots of groups.
Even though she misspoke.
Yes.
During that meeting, you still were there in a group with other women.
I was in a group with other people. And by the way, anybody else, the power of suggestion is so strong. I had to go and clean my mind after hearing that.
Yeah.
I thought, whoa, I have to go now. It wasn't a gift for me. I had to go and think, no, that I don't believe that. Let's just wash your mind. That was suggested to my subconscious and my conscious right there. Studies have shown. I'm like, well, okay, studies are going to show me being successful, lady.
Yeah.
And I had no money then. I didn't know what I was doing. She was literally helping me get my website up. That's the very beginning. It was literally the beginning stages of my business. And she did give me feedback on my banner on my website. That's how beginner I was. Okay. Wow. I thought, oh my gosh, how could she say that? And I thought, that's just, okay, well, I'm okay. Thank you. It's going to be harder, but what do you suggest? I go find another person? No, that's not going to happen. So I need to make this work. So I believe it does not matter. There's all sorts of other things and studies and blah, blah, blah. We got to stop making excuses for where we are. Just, it's going to work if you want it to work no matter what. That's what I believe. Right?
We are in the middle of a very volatile political year across the globe. Lots of things going on in politics. And this is what I know about truth. What is true for me might not be true for you.
Yes.
And what is true for you might not be true for me, but they're both true.
Exactly. And the thing is this is the other thing that's very true. And you're going to laugh. This is how far my mindset is. People are starting to murmur online, oh, nobody's paying high ticket anymore. Well, I don't see that as truth. I see that as not true because people do pay me high ticket because I'm a high ticket coach. And one person was trying to convince me, oh, you better change it to low ticket. I said, why would I do that? Why would I do that, lady? But then she tried to make me pay her high ticket because she thinks the high ticket doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, there's illogic going on there, right?
Yeah.
But then after she said that, I started getting more higher ticket clients than I've ever gotten in my whole career, ever. During whatever is going on, I don't listen to that. Oh, the politics. If you look at trends, there's always going to be a recession every few years. There's going to be a bubble bursting. if you don't look at history of the last few years and blah, 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 I mean, I don't know what to say, really. It's just people making excuses because they don't want to do what it takes to be successful. I'm sorry,
So
that's what I think.
I network online
Hmm.
a lot, and the financial planner in my BNI chapter, he likes to explain over and over again that during the third quarter of the 4-year presidential cycle, that is usually when the market is the lowest.
Hmm.
And we are in the third quarter of the
Yes.
fourth year of the
Yes.
presidential cycle. So of course the market's going to be weird. I mean, it's doing really, really well this year. But over the last 100 years, this has
Exactly.
traditionally been a very poor time for the market, which means it's a great time to buy stock
Exactly. Exactly. If you buy the right stock,
if you buy the right stock.
if.
Yeah, if
But
if if
it's funny, all the financial.
if you have the right advisor.
Well, the thing is this, if you know about looking into past trends, it's just a cycle.
Hmm.
And if you're going to get all upset because there's a cycle in everything with our bodies, with the sun, with the moon, with seasons, with everything. There's cycles. But if people just want to like see it that every day is going to be the same no matter what, I don't know what to say. It's just not smart.
Yeah.
But I don't care about cycles because I'm me. I create my own cycles like I created my own success against a lot of odds.
Yeah.
So when you get to that level where there's zero excuses, I have a zero excuse life. There's reasons why I couldn't do something if I get sick. That's a reason. It's not an excuse, right? Or a reason if I'm doing something, but there's no excuses. I make zero excuses. When you get to a zero excuse life, those trends don't even matter anymore because you are zigging when everybody else is zagging, and that's what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the opposite of what you think other people want you to do. That's how I've always looked at life. Okay, so you said something a little bit ago. You talked about how you tuned out the mind clutter. How do
Mhm.
you do that? What's your process for that?
It's simple. Just stop. People laugh. People laugh when I say it's a little bit like Joe Dispenza, his thing of change. Like I love Joe Dispenza's meditations, and I started doing them, and he goes, "Change." I thought, oh, that's exactly like my stop. It's just a different word. I worked this out years ago. Again, why do we have to process so much? When somebody starts saying to me, I have to go process that, I'm out. That means all sorts of things for me. Excuses of why I can't do this. I just have to go process this. Well, if they say, hey, you know what? Give me overnight just to get through this and process it, sure. But I have to go away and that's just a bunch of bundle excuses. A bundle of excuses. Let me go. I'm like, we're done. You know,
Yeah.
or it's just an excuse of why they don't want to work. And that's fine. People don't want to work with me, but just say no. Not, I have to go, I can take it. You don't want to do it? Okay, why? Great. But I have to go process this. The longer you process stuff, the less successful you are. That has been studied.
Well, the
Highly
definition of
successful.
process is
Yeah.
to process rather than to make a process, but to actually process something as you break it down into icky stuff. I mean, processed foods are bad.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
mean in my mind, I got to
yeah.
process all. Why? Because we are such wusses now. I mean, we are such look, I am known as an oversensitive personality. Like, I get it. However, I don't go, oh, I'm oversensitive. I'm like, you know what? We need to process things more quickly and stop being such darn wusses. Like,
I,
we can't say, we're canceled if we say anything that people don't like anymore. You know? Like, it's getting to a point where people can't even speak their minds anymore, right? Because you're canceled. Because you don't like, you just said it. Your truth for me is da da da, right? I get
yeah.
you. I agree.
Yeah, but I believe in attracting the people I believe in repelling the people that are bad for you to be around and attracting the people that are good for you.
Agreed. If they want to cancel you, fine. Cancel me.
Yeah.
But the point, I'm not saying to be obnoxious. I'm never
Yeah.
obnoxious online. I'm very respectful. And I treat everybody with love online. And I do what I think is the right thing out there in the world and not insult people. Okay. But what I mean is it takes very little to insult people now. Like it's
Mm.
just, do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
guys, we got to get tougher about what matter. Like what I mean is if somebody doesn't want to work with me, I process that in 3 seconds. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to go process, oh my gosh, they didn't want to work with me. It's done. Okay, great, I got it. We're done. Next. Right? That's what I mean. Is these setbacks, we shouldn't be taking so long because you're wasting your lifetime. Just process it and move on, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you're right, the longer you process it, the less likely you are to actually pull the trigger. I like the word percolate rather than process because when you
Right,
percolate,
right.
you add heat.
Got it. I get it.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going to do, I love it. Just, get over it quickly, please.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
that word is, fine. Find the word.
But yeah, so to me, if they say I have to process this, it usually is a no. So,
Right.
the maybes kill you.
Well, the thing is, I would never say to somebody, I just have to process. I'd say, hey, I got to think this over and get to my decision. Boom. That's true. I got to think this over. Give me, we do need to think. It's like, oh, there needs to be a decision-making process in life, right? But how long? Oh, I've been processing this for a year, or I'm not just talking about sales. I'm talking about everything.
Yeah.
We don't need to process our emotions so much. We need
Yeah.
to
Because then you
get
can't get out of those emotions. You're
exactly.
stuck in them.
You're stuck. And that's when, people confuse fear with intuition all the time. Okay.
Mm.
All the time. I met an intuition PhD expert, and she said, do you know, I wrote an ebook on that. You're correct. That people think that intuition is intuition, but it's actually their fear holding them back. And she wrote an ebook on how to tell the difference. That's how common that is.
Wow. Dig
Okay.
into that deeper.
Well, this is the thing. In your brain, you have what's called synapses. Okay. And you're creating this habit. Okay. Now, if you have a habit of going into a fear cycle, okay, and it's like, oh, I need to make a decision. You go into fear, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to process that. Okay. Then they confuse that process of going around and around in their brain and their fears, going around and around and around, thinking it over and over, and go, oh, you know what? I don't think this is a good idea. It is not intuition. It is them merely tapping into their habit of going around and around like a broken record of fear, but justifying the fear and calling it intuition or a feeling of, oh no, I have a gut feeling. No, people have lost all contact with what is really truly a gut feeling sometimes.
Well,
Because, yeah,
the three responses to fear are freeze, flee, or fight, right?
or go into your fear body of
Well, that's
processing.
freeze.
That's freezing, but
Yeah.
they don't think it's freezing. They think it's processing. It's literally, and then it validates it. So then, okay, let's say you say to me, hey, Jeanne, can you want to invest in this XYZ? I'm like, okay. I get fearful of, oh my gosh, what if I lose something? What if it's not going to be a good idea? I lost in the past. Let me just process that and I'll get back to you. So then I go and I start overthinking. Well, I don't know if I invest in that XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. What if I lose the money? Let me just justify that. Okay, now I did that before. I lost it. I think I better be safe. So yeah, my gut feeling, which is really just a fear, blah, blah, blah. My gut feeling is I'm not going to invest in this. Now, I'm not saying the investment was good or bad. I don't know. I'm just using an example. Okay. So I'm very, very careful when I make any kind of investment, whether that's in real estate or blah, 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 to think, now why am I not doing this? Let me see logically. The numbers work. Okay. Is it because I actually just don't trust that person? That's a gut feeling then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, okay, there's the person. I better look into that person then a bit, right? All right. Now, I've made investments that look great, and by random whatever, they just didn't work out. That does not mean it could not have been a good investment. That's just life, and then something happened.
Yeah.
All right. It's not like, oh, darn it, I knew I shouldn't have done that, because many of the investors all thought it was a good investment and they're smarter than me, just was bad luck because luck comes into it. So I'm saying this thing, and I used to do this and I used to think it was intuition. I realized it was just a fear body that's a groove of synapses going around and around and around and around. And then it's, not doing this. Okay. It gets to the point where you never do anything because your fear is so vast that any action is fearful. And you're saying, my intuition, it's not aligned. Well, it's not aligned because you're so tapped into your fear body that nothing's going to be aligned ever. And you
Yeah.
are going to be stuck forever, never taking a risk, because we do need to take risks. We do.
So, what do you say to that person who needs? I mean, you said it earlier. Do it. Just start.
Right.
Just do it. But there are people who aren't in that mindset. So
Well,
help
then
them get out of it.
okay, you need to really be real with yourself. Am I just in denial about this? Is it because some part of us kind of knows we're, unless they're so deep. Oh, and then they justify why they're not doing something that truly is clearly would have been a good decision. And then at that point, I'm like, well, they're too far in their fear. I can't help them make this decision. And I'm not going to force people. Some people go, you're right. That was fear. You're right. Okay. And they're like, they're open enough to admit that they're in denial about this, sort of semi-denial. So I would say, if you are not moving forward because you are so afraid of investing in a coach or an opportunity, then I would say, okay, what's going on here? I'm not moving forward. I'm too full of fear to move forward. What do I want the most? Do I want to just stay in my fear and say I'm in a comfort zone? It's never comfortable. Or do I truly want to move forward and figure out what your priority is? And if your priority is just keeping the status quo going and feeling crappy about yourself for the rest of your life because you're never going to be self-actualized, then do that. But if you're like, nope, I really want to move forward and I'm going to get past this fear to make a decision, whatever that is, to move forward by taking some risk. Some risk has to happen because you cannot grow with no risk. It's just a fact. You can't grow with no risk. Risk of doing stuff that's scary, right? Risk of spending money to get help. Risk of losing a little bit of the footing with our, comfiness to then be a little unstable. Great things happen, and then you get back to stability. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to the fear thing. The three responses to fear: freeze, flee, or fight.
Yes. Right.
The people who who need to be successful are the ones that are fighting, right? They're fighting against the thing that makes them scared.
It's different verbiage. I don't think anything's a fight. I think it's moving forward.
Facing it head on.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Facing your fear. Yes. To me, it is about facing the fear. Like, okay. And we know when we're finally not hiding. And we might do peripheral things that make us feel good and get us a little further, but it's going to take forever. And when you say, like when I woke up that morning and I thought, do you know how hard that was for me to climb that mountain of learning something completely new from scratch? That's my biggest, like, oh gosh, I got to do that again. And we all have that. And I keep doing that. And I'm like, okay, get ready, another mountain. But I know what I'm facing. And I'm like, I will do it. It takes effort, takes courage to fight fear.
Yeah.
It takes courage to have more courage than you have fear. Then you start to get that balance in your favor.
So let's change that from freeze, flee, fight to freeze, flee, face.
Face it.
I
Face
love it.
on.
I love it. But I also want to acknowledge that sometimes flee is the correct thing to do.
It absolutely is if there is danger. If there's danger of, we have that from, prehistoric times when a wild animal was going to devour us. Absolutely. We have that when we are going to cross the street and we look both ways. Hopefully you do, because we have survival instincts. I'm not saying suppress that. I'm not saying invest in every single, crazy person that proposes something to you. I don't say yes to everything because I look into it a bit and I go, okay, I do due diligence, but I don't do, like, I believe what was his name? The guy that was the Secretary of State that was in the Bush administration, and he was administration, and he also wrote leadership books. Gosh, Colin Powell.
Oh,
Colin
yes.
Powell, his thing, and I didn't know that this was his thing. I was doing this anyway. He said, when you have between, I think it was 40 and 70% of the information that is when you make a decision. If you wait till you try to get 100, it's too late. People are dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in the situation of the military when you're,
yes.
Yeah.
But then he wrote books on this in leadership. And I realized when you are like, I have to get all the information, you never have all the information. You never will.
Yeah.
It's not possible to have 100% of the information. And if you think you're going to get it, well, you're living in la la land. And that's where your intuition does come through. You're like, okay, I have 70, and I've always made decisions that way, that that's enough information. I get it. I'm never going to have it all anyway. Now the intuition comes in of my gut feeling. Okay. But those people that ask you, like, keep asking many questions are never going to ever going to take action
Yeah.
ever because they are stuck. And
Yeah.
I just want to have all the information. Okay, I'll give you all the, then they keep asking more. I'm like, whoa, I'm exhausted and I don't want those clients because I literally said to one person, I literally cannot, 3 calls. I said, I can't even answer another question because it's just the fear cycle. And then they started asking the same questions over and over again. I thought, okay, hey, this is the fear cycle. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a good coaching client.
Yeah.
That's going to be somebody so
And
full of fear that it's
and
going to be impossible to coach.
good for you for identifying that and stopping the process.
Of course. I see that right away. I don't
Maybe
want
that's
those
what they
clients.
needed.
God bless them. They've got to go figure that out on their own. If they have to go fix that themselves, I can't do it. And my goal when people come and coach with me is make them successful. Maybe they should go to a therapist first. I don't know. And I say that with love because
Yeah.
therapy is invaluable. So no, it's like you can't know everything when you're going to be like, you know what I mean? Like, how much information can I give you at this point? Like exactly what you're going to do every single day and the results. I need a crystal ball for that, right? There has to be some trust when you buy something. When I buy a car, I have to have some trust that it's not going to break down tomorrow, or I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
There is some trust, right?
Yeah. So set it up so that you are buying the car from someone you can trust, right?
Well, I mean, I bought it from Tesla. I bought it from Tesla, but it could still break down.
We'll just leave that one. We'll leave that one on the back burner.
I said that on purpose because I knew that would get a charge from you. Right? I knew that would. I knew just the brand would get a rise out of you.
The thing about a brand like Tesla, though, is that they are disruptors. I mean, they have changed the way cars are made. And there is no other car company making cars the way Tesla makes cars.
That's because they're not a car company. They're a battery company that built cars around it.
That's true. That is true. And
they are now a car company.
They did try to make their battery available to other car manufacturers, but none of the other manufacturers wanted it, which I thought was really interesting, that the other manufacturers would want to make their own battery.
Well, then who knows? All sorts of political or
yeah, I know it's very
even it could also be even economical. Maybe it's cheaper for them to go develop their own. Who knows? Or maybe they don't want to be associated, or maybe they don't want him to control anything about their businesses.
Yeah, and which is fair.
Yes,
it's very fair. It's very, very fair. But the thing is, there. So Tesla and SpaceX are, all in the Elon Musk globe. Yes. And when SpaceX was testing their rockets a few years ago, they would celebrate the failures.
Exactly. Yes. And, when you look at it, this is the other thing. I wish people would just do a bit more research on success. No person ever got hugely successful without failing a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more you fail, the more you succeed.
Right. And so, it's like just par for the course. Also, investors all know that they don't make 10 investments that are all successful investments. They're lucky if 7 are, and they celebrate if 7 out of the 10 are successful. They're like, wow, we're winning. Mm-hmm. So this thing of amateur thinking of that everything I need to do and everything I invest in has to be a success, that's just not reality. That's la la land. I've lost a lot of money on investments, but I've got some other good investments. I've lost a lot of money on bad coaches. I mean, I invest a lot. I mean, I think I wasted about $95,000, but I've made so much money. It's all good, right? It's not about being small-minded about every single thing needs to have exactly the same amount of, it's not how life works. It has to be, you just keep testing. You win some, you lose some, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the statistic with baseball is a 300 batting average is excellent. Mm-hmm. Well, that means that you missed it 700 times, right?
Absolutely. Right. Are they going, oh my goodness, the 700, oh, boo-hoo, no. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, I'm really, really well in my coaching business and I did lose some money. Oh, well, I'd rather be doing really well and made some mistakes, but why don't we talk about the good stuff? That's where gratitude comes in and thinking about, we always hear, oh, that didn't work. Okay, now tell me what did work. Oh, hang on. All the things that did work are way more than the things that did not work, you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a negative attitude, the half full, half empty,
Yeah.
pick how you want to operate in your life.
Well, the other thing that's true, so I send thank you cards to all of my podcast guests. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it just happened this week. A recent guest on the show posted a picture of the thank you card and talked about how he's going to put it in his photo album, and that he's really, he'll always remember the episode because of the card, right? And somebody posted under there, I bet only 0.5% of podcast hosts send thank you cards. And I said, well, the statistic is actually 3% of businesses send thank you cards. That doesn't mean that the 97% of businesses that don't send the thank you cards aren't successful. It just means that 3% of businesses care enough about their clients to send a thank you card.
Or have the bandwidth or the help to do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there are many ways to get to success. So you have helped over 400 businesses.
Almost 500 now.
Almost
actually.
500 now. So share a success story that might be outside the box.
Outside the box, I'm making dinner one evening and I start a conversation, like chatting messages with this other lovely coach, and she's eating dinner at the same time, and she's hearing me stir the pots and I'm hearing her chomp, and we're chatting a bit. She sends me photos of her dog. I'm like, yeah. She looks at my stuff. She goes, hey, I'm going to sign up with you. Just let me finish dinner and I'm going to pay you in full. Okay. No sales calls, nothing. She just took a look. Intuitively, she thought, this is the one. I love that she's cooking dinner. I love, she just thought, you're the one. She goes, just give me a second. I'm going to finish dinner and I'm going to give you my credit card. And then, I don't need a sales call. I want you to coach me. I said, great. Perfect. Love it. Comes in, does everything I say, coached well. And she got to $91,000 in 4 weeks.
Where did she start?
She'd been coaching 4 years. And I think she said the most she ever did was like 7K months. Yeah.
Wow.
And then she said, this was beyond my expectations. So I thought I didn't need this help or this or that, did the work. And she had 2 other stellar months as well. So do you see what I'm saying is like, things don't always have to be so neat. That the best part of that story was how she signed up, right? It was just, you're in. She goes, she'd been around enough. She's like, this is the woman. And I was interested in her dogs. And, she liked the fact I was just like, hey, I'm cooking dinner and, like leaving messages, that it wasn't like, oh, now we're going to like have a conversation. Now we have to get on a call. And she's like, yep, you're it. I'm in. I said, okay, cool. Love it.
That both of those are facing the fear and being authentic. I mean, you were being your authentic self. She was being her authentic self.
Exactly. Yes.
You already knew, you didn't have to get past the pretense. You already knew what to expect from each other.
Well, she had looked at my content, saw what I was speaking about, thought this is authentic to me. Okay. Authentic, right? She loved it. And she also said to me, I'm going to pay you in full because I want my clients to pay me in full from now on. Yes. And she got her first 18K in full payments ever.
Wow.
I helped her also raise her prices. And she said, you gave me the courage to actually say, hey, you want to pay in full for $18,000, which had never happened to her before. Wow. So she's smart enough to know you operate the way you want things to happen.
My aunt would say, model the desired behavior.
That's exactly what she did. And she also knew quick decision making makes quick decision making. She didn't go, oh, gee, Jeanne, I love what you're doing, but, and then maybe we'll get on. But she didn't want that attraction, and she got it, and it worked. I loved it because I thought this person is so smart, and she was just a quick decision maker. Yeah. And that's what she got, quick decision makers.
Wow. Okay. So you are relatively new to marketing online within the last 5 years.
Yes.
So share your favorite online marketing tips.
Okay. So really, it's so simple. People they complicate everything. It really is being yourself. It is not looking at other people and going, oh, I'm going to be like her. And again, I didn't have space for that. Remember the no space? I just messy. Some sort of person that wasn't so kind said, oh, I get it. We just sort of show our mess online and we make millions of dollars. She said that because, you get the haters. And I said,
yeah,
I just said, yep, that worked. Yep. I'm just like, yep, that's it kind of thing. Meaning hashtag unfake. I love that
Yeah.
hashtag. I made that up. Hashtag unfake.
That's a
It's like,
great hashtag.
isn't it though? You can use that. Just say Jeanne Omlor taught me this. The thing is also hashtag unmediocre. Okay. So to me, it's about essence, essential stuff. It is not bending yourself into a pretzel to make people like you because they won't, because they'll feel it's not real. So instead of the word authentic, let's just be true blue and real. Let's just be real. So here's what happened. And I am not saying you need to tell everybody every inch of your personal life because that is not cool.
Yeah.
You need to keep your personal life. You don't want to tell people everything. There is a private garden that we need to keep for ourselves. So I don't tell people everything, but I tell them personal stuff that is appropriate, that is going to help them. And I also don't, use things out of vulnerability to then use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Because there's this vulnerability that people are using that's vulnerability, sorry, using it to get views. No, that's fake then. It's hashtag fake. So basically, be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Just write posts that are true about what's going on with you and your clients. Stories are good, right? Show results. Don't be afraid to show results. I am not bashful about showing my results. In fact, I don't show them enough. We have so many wins. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, that is a woman problem, though. I think a lot of women have trouble with that.
I think it's just I forget, to be honest. But I do agree with you.
Or you're very busy.
Women do forget because they feel like, oh, but I don't want to brag. You're not bragging. You're actually reporting what happened. It's true reportage, I call it.
Yeah.
This happened. It's reporting what happened with your client. That's not bragging. That's real. Oh, got it. And also, people are afraid to sell. Sell your stuff, people. Sell it. So the best tip is hashtag be yourself and tell stories, not boring stories, stories of success, of something that's going to help somebody else. So content that actually helps people, I love, and start talking to people online without wondering, like, how do I talk to people? Just talk to them. And don't make it that you're going to spam them and try to sell them something right away. But be real that they understand that the reason you're talking to them is potentially to tell them about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead of pretending that you're not going to do that and then bait and switching, because that's not cool either. So there's a way of being real that, of course, I'm a coach. And of course, if I'm in a conversation, well, maybe I'm sort of seeing if it's appropriate to talk about that. Not spam you right away, though. So, I mean, it's so simple. Content, conversation, see if they want to get on a call with you and tell them about what you do, highlight your value without lying to them or overpromising or being weird and offering it and see what they say. That's how simple it is.
I want to caution against oversharing. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but I want to give two instances of women that I personally know or knew who overshared about physically violent relationships. And they got a lot of sympathy and support. And then both of them ended up back in relationships with the physically abusive partner. And both of them ended up having children with the physically abusive partner. And then eventually left the physically abusive partner again. But by the time the second time came around, nobody felt sorry for them anymore.
No, they didn't, because it's, even though it's harsh, human beings are like, well, why didn't you just fix that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So just my caution is do not overshare. There are just some things that are not appropriate to share.
No, it's not appropriate. It's not healthy that you feel it's a lack of security that you feel you need to tell me everything about your life. No, I mean, I was messy about, hey, I was broke, single mom, deep debt. I mean, that's pretty private, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm not going to.
But still, you're not giving details.
No, I mean, Gabe, not icky, cringy detail.
Yeah.
It's here's the story. This wasn't working. This was going on, and blah blah blah. And I'm pretty vulnerable about it, but I'm not going to go into my whole personal life and what's going on because I don't need to. Why would I do that? That's not a self-respect thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and so social media is not your therapist.
Absolutely. Oh no, absolutely not. Yeah. No. And
yeah. So just the caution. Yes, share. I mean, I have been very open over the last almost 11 years now about my breast cancer journey. I live with metastatic breast cancer. I don't shy away from it. when I'm at chemo, sometimes I take a picture and say, here I am again. And sometimes I don't, but,
Right.
but I don't keep it a secret, but I
No,
don't
and
overshare. Nobody needs to
no,
know how I feel the day after chemo,
no. I mean,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's just part of my life. You too can do this. If something crappy happens to you, you figure out a way to work
Well,
around it,
well, the thing
right?
is, you're actually helping people there because
Exactly.
you're helping them because it's like, look, a lot of people are going through that, and I'm not going to hide it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's a good share because you're actually helping people. You're
Yeah.
helping them if they're going through it, that you're being cheerful about it. That could maybe change their life.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. You know, I'm not saying everybody some people are private, it's also a personality. There's nothing wrong with people not sharing when they have a health problem. Not the whole world needs to know, but you've chosen to do that, therefore it's authentic,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's part of who I am, so why hide it? But Lord, there are so many side effects. There's so many things that could
Yeah.
go wrong. There's so many bad
Mm,
days. People don't need
yeah.
to know about,
Mm,
it's okay to share one bad day, but don't
yeah.
share 12 in a row,
No, because
right?
then it's a downer and it's not
Yeah.
going to help your brand either because they're like, wow, this person always talks about how much pain they're in,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't even know. I'm in pain
Right.
every day. You don't need to know
Yeah.
that. You don't need to know that.
No,
How's that going to help you?
no, it's just going to feel so bad about you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I just want them to I want them to take action on their own life because they heard my
Yeah.
story,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Well, so that's empowering, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there, I cannot believe this. I feel like this conversation started 10 minutes ago and it didn't. But is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't get to cover?
Oh, there's so much. Yeah, I do. You know what? Everybody needs to choose themselves. You need to just choose yourself. You need to just say, I'm valuable. We're all valuable. I truly believe that. I have value. We all have value. This thing, especially women devaluing themselves because they're not like that other person. You want to feel bad about yourself? Start comparing yourself to other people. You can find somebody in 3 seconds you can feel bad about. We could all do that, right? We need to say, I'm valuable and I am worthy and ready right now. There's two things in that: worthy, but oh, I'm not going to spend 10 years to do something. Worthy and ready right now. We all have stuff going on. You have more than others, probably. We all have stuff going on. We have children or not. We have sickness or not. We have ailing parents or not. We have our own, stuff going on, right? If we always put everything before ourselves, we will never be self-actualized. We will never have the lives we want. We will never help the people we want if that's what you want. So it's got to be, I am worthy and ready right now. What does that mean? Take one action, one step right now. Just one. Now, guess what? You're on that journey. That's what I wanted to share.
I love that. And it can be a tiny little step. It
Mhm.
just has to be a step forward.
One step,
One
one
step.
thing.
One step. And you can take baby steps, you can take big steps, you can take leaps, but you've got to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
Got to keep moving forward. All right, Jeanne Omlor, this is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
I do a whole list every day. I'm just so grateful that I'm looking at this bay where I live and that I have a really wonderful life and it's filled with wonderful people and I love my work and I do very well and I just, I bask in gratitude. I'm happy that I have food in my fridge. I'm so grateful for that.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for grateful micropreneurs building genuine, lasting relationships with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is track 14 by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. To connect with Jeanne Omlor, head over to the show notes at gratitudegeek.com. This is episode 245. I've been your host, Kandas Rodarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.
I know we can make it easier than